A friend of mine's pulling me out of retirement, so I'm trying to get my stuff together, my newfangled stuff. And I must admit, on the newfangled stuff, there is one tool some people call a jigger saw, or oscillating tool, I think maybe is what it's called. This right here, I wouldn't mind having that back in the 70s, I'll tell you that. After day one, I am wore slap out. I just put in my first 9-hour day and I don't know how long, working for somebody else, which I hadn't done in, I don't even remember how long it's been. I had some things on my mind I wanted to share with you about the tradesmen of the 70s. Something that I think many of you can relate. And before I get into that, I made an episode a week or so ago about the carpentry in the 70s. I showed a few of my first tools the first week that I went into it, and it resonated, I think. Cloth nail apron, pocket square, a hammer, stick rule. And I did find, let me look for that. So metal tape, and if I'm not mistaken, the metal tape that I bought, it was a Craftsman and it looked something like this, if I'm not badly mistaken. Some of you might have one of them laying around. I don't think this was it. I mean, good Lord, I'm talking, what's that, 50 something years ago. So that's a long time. Let me quickly move on to the second tier tools, because it didn't take too long that I could see that I needed to have something else very special. One of the things was a utility knife. Now this is a newfangled design. Mine was a little skinny metal frame Stanley, I believe it was. And I had that thing up to about 2 years ago. And the thing that lets the blade come in and out, it broke and it was irreparable. And so I had to get shed of it, but you probably got 6 or 8 of those laying around. There's a couple of other tools that is what I call my second tier tools, and some of you mentioned it. One of them was a cat's paw. That was I probably bought that the second week. I wouldn't doubt it, but probably the second week. And this is the original cat's paw that I bought. The new ones today, the steel's not good enough and it just wears out, but this is right here. I hope I don't ever lose it. And then also a flat bar. You're probably like me, you've bought some flat bars between now and then, but this one here has kept its shape from its original. I bought some since, and you know what's happened to that, don't you? Flat. But back in the day, it was good steel. I don't think I bought one, but to have a pair of vice grips, the best tool that's ever known to man, you had to have one of those. Wasn't many tools in our toolbox, was it? I told you about my father's 67 step-side Chevrolet pickup that I borrowed. Well, I needed a toolbox, and of course, the only tools we carried was what was in our toolbox, except for on our gun rack, you did put your 4-foot level. That and your shotgun. You pretty well had everything decked out, didn't you? Or I know I did. And all the tools that I needed was in that little, I built a wood toolbox. That step side wasn't very wide. The bed wasn't. I don't remember what they are. Some of you might remember. Maybe it's 40 inches, is that right? Built that wood toolbox. And I had that thing until last year when my brother-in-law was needing to clean out where I had it stored. I got shed of it. I sort of wished I hadn't. And then the last tool that was, I say the last tool, in my second tier tools was a rasp. And I think this was the original rasp that I bought. So that, along with my little block plane and a hammer, we was pretty well fixed up. The expensive tools, oh, one more, let me find it. And of course, who didn't have a chalk line, right? Straight line, chalk line. So that was pretty much it. I bought that circular saw I told you about, framing square, level, block plane. Those are the tools that I carried for the first bit. Now I'm sure I added on a few other little ones. You did too, and of course, now 50 years later, I've added on a bunch. Today I was running some electrical boxes, putting in some old work boxes, pulling wires, and cleaning out some cabinets, pulling some cabinets out, pulling out some floors. I'll be making a little bit of a video on that. It's just sort of messy work, and you know, sweeping up dead mice and stuff like that and getting it all cleaned up. I'm nasty and tired, but I wanted to do this because you guys, you know what I'm talking about. After pulling a day, after starting in the 70s, and now here it is, 2026, it wears you out. But what was it like in the 70s? You may recall, in the middle of the 70s, there was two big things going on. One, we was all going to freeze to death. On the front of Time magazine, I think it was about 1974 or something, the next ice age was rapidly approaching. I got a light that's going crazy. And if you Google it now, they're trying to cover their tracks and saying, oh, no, we wasn't really talking about an ice age. But you and I know, we lived it. We understood that, oh, they was screaming bloody murder, that we was entering into the next ice age, and we was all going to freeze to death. You remember that? Now, I don't know who's in charge of telling all the news, but that was the news in the 70s. And they can say what they want to, but it was the big news. They say, oh, well, the scientific community wasn't really saying that. Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were. And you remember it, don't you? I remember it clear as the bell. And the second thing was, we was running out of oil shortage. Remember that? Long lines at the gas pump. Nobody was going. You had to, if your last name started with such and such, you could buy fuel on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if your name started with such and such on the even or odd, I don't remember exactly how it was, but good Lord, that was just a big old mess, wasn't it? But the 70s were good years. They were good times. The world was your oyster. You could pretty much do whatever you wanted to do. For those of us who are tradesmen, I think when we look back on our lives, we're happy of the life that we lived. Lord, if we could have taken pictures of all the stuff that we built, wouldn't it be something? The last little chapter of this video here, I want to talk about the workman, the worker, if you will, the starter, greenhorn, the new guy. There was, and we didn't even know it. I know I certainly was not aware of it. If you went to work for somebody, you went to work. You got there when you were supposed to get there. You didn't leave until you could leave. You didn't sit on your rear. Of course, at that time, we didn't have cell phones, but if you did, you wouldn't have had it out, been looking at it. You didn't sit down. The only time you sat down was when you took a break, when you ate lunch, and maybe if you had to go to the woods. That was it, wasn't it? I mean, you was working from the time you got out of the truck, and it didn't take you 10 minutes from the time you got out of the truck to the time you had the cords out and the saws running. Man, the work ethic. But since that time to now, it's been my experience, and probably some of you had the same experience, is that when you're going to hire a new guy, you can tell within probably in the first day, and maybe even sometimes in the first hour, whether or not this person's going to work out. I've always said that there's two kinds of workers that you hire. There are those that are looking for ways to get out of work, and those who are looking for the work to be done. They're constantly monitoring, what can I do next to help you, boss? What can I do to make things run more better? How can I help you? And then the other guy, he's trying to find a where he can sit down or go around the corner and hide and not be doing anything, or you give him something to do and you go around and look and he's standing there picking his nose and not doing anything. You know, it's hard to let people go, but, well, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So the tradesmen of the 70s, whether you was in mechanic work or plumbing or electrical or carpentry or welding or sheet metal fabrication, roofing, drywall, masonry, concrete, setting steel. What else is there? HVAC guys, communication guys. You know, in our day, we didn't have much communication guys back in the 70s, did we? Maybe somebody run a telephone line, but that was about it. You know all the trades. Let me know the ones I'm leaving out. All of us, when we started in the 70s, I don't remember anybody having a poor work ethic. There might have been some, but they just weren't working. It's sort of sad today that there's people that are able-bodied people that can work but won't. Feel for them. Wish I could help them. Wish I could give them a job. But my day's pretty much come and gone. Am I hopeful for the future? Well, I'm hopeful for eternity, for the future of this world and the way things are going. I guess down through the ages, everybody's always looked into the future and looked at dark clouds and looked at the white clouds. I'm going to leave that to somebody that's smarter than me in talking about the future. The tradesmen of the 70s. We were a fortunate lot, but we were a hard-working lot, weren't we? Thank God for those who came before us. When we started in the 70s, our mentors, our parents, were born in the teens and the 20s. My grandfather was born in the 1800s, and I still use and still got a lot of his tools. So we're not very far removed from, you might say, early America. Our generation, we who started in the 70s. I guess if I have a word for young people today, I would say, take the time to listen to some of your dads and moms and grandfathers. They have a lot. They've learned a lot. They've got a lot to share. Next time you hold the door for a senior when he's walking in, you don't really know who that guy is, what he did. My neighbor up here, his name's JC. I think he's 86 years old. He is still sharp as a tack and one of the most talented men that I've ever known. If you saw him, if you looked at him when he comes walking in, his body's failing him now. He can't walk very good. But if he is walking in, I saw him the other day up at Hardee's for breakfast. If you just saw him sitting over there, you'd say, wow, who is that guy? That guy's forgot more than most men will ever know. He's an amazing individual, and there's a lot of you out there that are the same thing. Some of the stories that you've shared already, and I'm sure you'll share with me some more. It's just amazing. So anyway, that's another part of my story. I'm interested to hear your story. I'm thinking about compiling some of your stories and reading them here on an episode and sharing some of what you've shared with me. I think that'd be an interesting episode. Let me know what you think. Well, that's about it. I'll see you in the next one.